What's up YouTube and fellow pyros? Elemental Pyro here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own black powder. Now this is going to be the first video in a series of videos showing you how I make fireworks at home. Let's get started. Now to make black powder you're going to need a few items. First are the chemicals: potassium nitrate, charcoal, sulfur, and dextrin. A few containers for weighing and mixing the chemicals, a balance, a ball mill, gloves, a 20 mesh kitchen screen, a pan, wax paper, some water. Here we have a squirt bottle and a tablespoon, a rough bristle brush, and some screens. Here we have a 100, 20, 10, and 4 mesh screens that we will be using to granulate the black powder. Alright, so first we have to weigh out our chemicals. We'll do a total volume of 127 grams because that will fill our ball mill jar 1/4 full. And then we'll have our milling media, which is 1/2 inch lead antimony balls, and those will be half full of the container, so it's about 5 pounds of media. First we'll do potassium nitrate. Here I weighed out 94.13 grams of potassium nitrate. The next ingredient is charcoal. And for black powder you want to use a hot burning charcoal, so this is Eastern Red Cedar. I weighed out 18.8 grams of charcoal. The next ingredient is sulfur. Here I weighed out 12.6 grams of sulfur. And finally, for our binder, we're going to use dextrin. And finally, 1.5 grams of dextrin. Now we're going to mix this all up, make sure it's tightly closed, and just mix it. And the optimum ratio for gunpowder, black powder, is 75% potassium nitrate, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur. And then just a little bit of dextrin to bind it all together to make nice hard granules. So now we're going to screen mix it with our 100 screen mesh. It's probably advisable to wear a dust mask when you do this. Obviously gloves. And you just work it through. And screen mixing does two things. One, it breaks down all the individual components to really small pieces so they all mix together really well and really closely for optimum burn. And the second thing is it just mixes everything together by spreading it out. So you're going to want to screen mix, put it back in the container, mix it, and screen it again about 3 to 4 times. I've used a 40 mesh in the past and it screens through much faster, but they say 100 mesh is best for high quality, powerful black powder. Okay, here's our screened mixture. Just going to pour it back into our mixing container. Mix it around a little bit more. screen it again. We'll do that about 3 to 4 more times. Now that we have our black powder mixed, we're going to put it in our ball mill. But first I'm going to burn a very small amount before ball milling to show you the difference in combustion. First we'll get this out of the way, we'll just pour it into our ball mill. Just like so. And you can get these ball mills at Harbor Freight or Northern Tool for roughly 60 to 100 bucks based on the deals. So we're gonna burp it once, get all the pressure out. Close that down tight. And then put it in our ball mill. So here's our ball mill. And I have it hooked up to a smart outlet. I have it hooked up to a smart outlet so I can precisely time it for 4 hours. I'm going to mix it for 4 hours to get good mixing and break down all those particle sizes. Now let's test the power of our black powder before ball milling. See, it burns, but it wasn't really a quick burn. So we'll see how that looks after 4 hours of ball milling. So here we have our container ball mill jar of freshly milled black powder. I always use dedicated mixing and weighing containers for black powder to maintain the highest quality black powder. Get our kitchen screen into our container to catch all of the ball mill media. Dump it all in. Get you a non-sparking beating stick. And then we'll just sift out all of the lead balls. Back into our ball mill. So here we have a sample of our ball milled black powder, and we'll see how energetic it burns compared to the unball milled black powder mixture. You can tell that was burned much faster.
Unmilled and milled.
Okay, so here is our ungranulated powder. To this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of hot water. Mix it around. You'll see clumps start to form. Keep mixing it, it starts to get clumpy. And you just want to work it all around, get all of the water incorporated. Kind of squeeze all the little pieces together to evenly distribute the water. And once you do this a few times, you'll get used to knowing what it's supposed to look like. You'll kind of have a slight sheen or glisten on the particles. Not quite yet. So I'm going to add a squirt or two of water and work it around again.
I added one more squirt of water for a total of 3 squirts.
Okay, I think that looks pretty good. It's almost like a wet sand. Now we'll start to just work it into a ball. Kind of squish it all together. And you're kind of looking for a slight sheen on the outside. You don't want it too wet. Just a little bit of a shiny ball. So now we'll get our 4-mesh screen. And then you just kind of work it and twist it through the mesh. Then with your hard bristle brush, brush down any remaining. Okay, now just spread it out evenly. And depending on the temperature or climate where you live, this could take 1 to a couple days of drying. So we'll just let that set aside to dry. Now that we have our dried black powder, we're going to granulate it through our series of mesh sizes, starting with 4, 10, and then 20 mesh. Dump it all in. Anything that doesn't go through the 4-mesh, you just grab a hard object, force it through. We'll take off our 4-mesh. And here's our 10-mesh screen. So anything caught on a 10-mesh screen is effectively 2FA gunpowder, which is good for lifting because it doesn't burn as fast as smaller particles. We'll collect that to the side. Now if you want more of the smaller granule sized black powder, which is good for bursting a fireworks shell, you can put some back on the 10-mesh screen. Grab your hard object. This is a glass jar. And just smash it through. Now these are, after they've dried, they're pretty hard, so
And then here we have our 4FA black powder, smaller granule size, which is good for bursting firework shells. Alright, let's put this off to the side. And then what you have left is minus 20 black powder. You can either use this as star prime, or whenever you make a new batch of black powder, just toss it in there and granulate it again. Here's an example of the different mesh sizes. First we have 6FA, which goes through a 20 mesh screen but is caught by a 40. 4FA, which is minus 10 plus 20. 2FA, which is minus 4 plus 10. Now these aren't exactly 2FA, 4FA, and 6FA like gunpowder is, but it's really close. So now let's see a burn test. We have all our extra black powder stored away safely. Let's see how these burn. And they all went at once. Let's try that again. 6FA powder. Burns really quickly. 4FA powder. Not quite as quick. 2FA powder.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'm the Elemental Pyro. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button if you want to see more. And don't forget, this is the first video in a series of videos showing you how I make homemade fireworks. Remember to have fun and be safe.
And don't forget to check out some of the other videos on my channel.